anyone who supports him. And truth, what do you want to go through? I mean, let's just say this is Mr. X. It doesn't matter that it's Newt Gingrich. It's Mr. X. Mr. X is, let's call him Mr. P for political candidate. Mr. P. Mr. P exists. There are many Mr. P's and there are many Mrs. P's in every country of the world. But what does Mr. or Mrs. P propose in the way of actual solution here? Absolutely nothing. When Newt was Speaker, he controlled spending, leading to 4 straight balanced budgets. Well, Bill Clinton claimed to have balanced the federal budget, and yet he did not increase federal tax rates. He did not decrease federal spending. He did not increase federal revenues per spending. How is it even possible that he balanced the budget? It's mathematically impossible. This is a lie, and we know it's a lie. And I've had intelligence people provide me the answer to how Clinton was allowed to claim that without challenging from the right. But Newt Gingrich has no rightful claim to the lie himself as Speaker of the House. Did he decrease federal tax rates or increase federal tax rates or federal revenues or decrease federal spending sufficiently to balance the budget? This is nothing but a preposterous lie. The same kind of thing, which is, he mentioned in a couple of minutes, which is all I could stomach to watch of the debate, the debate before. He claimed that Reagan was a huge success. Reagan turned to Carter denouncing the $150 billion of federal debt that Carter accumulated in 4 years, not annual, in 4 years. Reagan turned to Carter in the eventual debates between the Republican and Democrat candidates, and he pronounced that $150 billion as unforgivable. That was his exact word. Because Carter had accumulated more debt than any president before him. I immediately called the Reagan campaign. Well, I talked to them before, actually. When they claimed that he was going to balance the budget by decreasing federal taxes 10% per year for 3 years. And I explained to them that it was absolutely impossible to accomplish the object of balancing the budget and eradicating price inflation, which is what he claimed he was going to accomplish, without any qualification whatsoever, which is the most marked defect in all of these. It doesn't matter what country you go to. All you have is these figureheads who just say what's going to happen, not how it's going to happen. And you see, there is no way that we can have representation unless we have a not just a competent, but a fully comprehensive discussion of how we're getting to point Z from point A. Every point along the way has to be accountable for every possible exception, if we're even ensured that we're going to get Z to Z from A. This goes on. It says the pro-growth policies Newt implemented, like he did this himself or something, led to a booming economy. Whoa, excuse me. A booming economy. The so-called dot-com boom that this is referring to was an utter failure. Even after Clinton left office, few of the survivors of the dot-com bust had even yet to make a penny of profit. All that happened in this so-called boom was money was poured into circulation through debts which weren't going to be serviced by ventures which had no product that they were producing and were never going to make a profit. And of the few that have survived that, they've largely survived by displacing prior existent business or enterprise at even less profit. And yet, though that's a proven failure, he, like Bill Clinton, is evidently continuing to call it a boom. I'm shaking my head. I can't believe how huge these lies are. That anyone would believe these preposterous lies is beyond me. It says, nonetheless, the pro-growth policies Newt implemented led to a booming economy, and the American people created 11 million new jobs. The only thing that's truthful in the latter part of that sentence is that the American people created the jobs. Government does not create jobs. Government, in the way of jobs, can allow the people to recreate jobs when government gets out of the way. But it isn't government here. Yes, government can get out of the way, but the thing that it's leaving in the way is the most obstructive thing of all, and that is this preposterous obfuscation of the currency of our own promissory obligations to each other, which inherently are obligations to pay and to retire principal only from circulation. That's all the real creditor is provided, to pay principal only from circulation. And that's been obfuscated into falsified debts to a mere publisher of further representations of those promissory obligations, who then, without warrant at all, without any justification whatsoever, without giving up any lawful consideration commensurable to the debts it falsifies to itself, imposes interest upon us, which leads to this, inevitably, to this inevitable terminal failure. So how preposterous is all this? And this man claiming this, boom, you gotta be kidding me, you know? Next sentence, Americans are looking for someone to turn this country around. Well, not very hard if we're looking to Newt Gingrich or any of these other candidates, because every one of them is evading the only thing that we have to focus on in order to get this problem behind us, which is the artificial imposition of this falsification of indebtedness and subjecting this falsified indebtedness to unwarranted interest. We're not borrowing money from banks. They're merely publishing evidence of our own promissory obligations to each other, and these people need to get out of the way, all of them. You know, and here he is, parading himself as some hero to you. As Newt mentioned tonight, in just 4 years, his leadership turned a 2.7 trillion projected deficit into a 2.2 trillion surplus. Okay, so you say, right, sure. The sentence finishes, that is a real turnaround, with an exclamation point. It's not even true. Not even close to true. You know, it's the opposite of the truth. In fact, far more debt is generally accumulated, particularly during the same years Gingrich is referring to, by gutting Social Security, some say to the extent of close to $100 trillion, creating what's not considered debt, which didn't go on the wrong side of the balance sheet on account of mere skewing of nomenclature because it was considered, instead of debt, near-term unfunded federal liabilities. Of course, it was a debt. So all this is about cooking the books and claiming all the while that you're embezzling and enriching those who put you in office, that you're a hero to the people you're stealing from. Last sentence, 2 sentences. Our country is in real trouble. We need a veteran leader who has done it before to get America back on track, not a rookie. Well, that's a preposterous schoolboy ploy, when in fact the track record of the veteran only proves the veteran is nothing more than a terrible betrayer of the people. So these are all lies. Gingrich never balanced the budget. Sum of federal debt continues to escalate. There's some aberration in time that's prevented it from accumulating further. And what we would find out if we knew the whole truth would even be far more astonishing. Why? Because there are tremendous volumes of valid endeavors on all different fronts, which would result in tremendous further employment, green energy, diminishment of costs to ourselves, if in fact it weren't that these people who are parading themselves as heroes to us weren't instead in the way, not just these last 4 years, or the 4 years before that, or the 8 years before that, or however long you want to look into the past. Deals and schemes are going down beyond what we can just quite put our fingers on, but which are indicated by everything that is clearly right before us. These same people who are pretending to be our saviors, our benefactors, who pretend that they're about to represent us and restore justice to us, though none of them ever have. None of them ever have. These same people are busiest behind closed doors, sealing deals that only further betray us for their own benefit. We know that because if that weren't so, they would challenge the banking system. They're a part of it. Every one of them. It matters not what country, every politician before you who refuses to challenge the obfuscation of the currency is your enemy. I mean, wake up, people. How could we possibly be injured by evaluating this obfuscation of the currency? How could we possibly be injured by an in-depth, comprehensive discussion of whether or not the banking system gives up lawful consideration, whether debts exist to the bank, whether property of the bank was ever risked as could possibly be said to justify interest? that in the end, after resolving this to the facts, we restore to ourselves our